Don't have to be a star to be on this show, but you better be bold. Well, one more time, you guys, thank you for tuning in. Of course, you got Kimberly F. Brown inside the Little Hut podcast. It's election 2024. 2024. And of course, tomorrow is the golden day. We don't know what's going to happen. But before I get down to the get down, I got to tell you about my sponsors before my sponsors get upset. Now, don't forget that if you're looking for a single home commercial property new development, you got to call my favorite realtor. And her name is Alisa Johnson. Reach out to her at 216-375-3681. Now, if you're looking for t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, tumblers, cups, mugs, team uniforms, whatever the case may be, contact Angie of New Beginnings 1111. She's located in the city of Maple Heights. Her number is 216-395-7335. And of course, I got to say hello to my good buddies over in Garfield Heights, the Concerned Citizens, because they are my number one sponsor. And really, I don't know why, because sometimes I give them one heck of a trying time. But listen, it is election 2024, and I've had some great people inside the hut. Well, today we have Mayor Matt Burke, and he's inside of the Little Hut podcast, and yes, he's in the hot seat. Well, good evening, Mayor. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Well, it's not about me, Mayor, not about me. I want you to know that you are in the hot seat for the next 15 or 20 minutes. And all we want to know is how you are doing and whether or not you are going to handle this podcast like a champ.
I'm doing well, and like anything else I do, I try to put my best foot forward and just take it from there. Let God handle it.
Okay, very good. Well, let's get down to the get down because this is election 2024. And I kid you not, this is such an exciting time. I was at the board yesterday, and that line was all the way down to 13th Street. I mean, it was bananas. It was crazy. And people were telling me, you know what? Hey, Miss Brown, I'm not turning back. I mean, the excitement is there. So I tell you what, let's talk about the Ohio U.S. Senate race, the race between Bernie Moreno, the Republican, and Sherrod Brown. Give me your thoughts on this race being neck and neck, Brown on Cleveland.
Well, I don't know much about Bernie Moreno,
Okay.
other than what you see in the tabloids and the media and um, the press. But I will tell you that I know Sherrod Brown. I've known
Okay.
Sherrod Brown for a long time, even before I even got into politics. And what I like about Sherrod Brown is he's the type of guy that goes out and does things for the community, and you never hear him really brag about it. He just
Mhm.
seems to do the task, then he moves on to the next thing. And I think that when you look at your leaders out there, you want to look for people that really have the community's best interest at heart. Um, and just knowing Sherrod as a private citizen
Mhm.
before I became into politics, and knowing him now as a politician, it's the same guy. He's really the same guy when you meet him. He's always telling you, "Hey, I live right down the road from Garfield Heights. You guys are in my backyard," and you just get this sense of he wants you to be part of his family. Um, I remember years and years ago people saying, "Well, what has Sherrod Brown really done for us?" And I know here in Garfield Heights, we used to have a corridor down Broadway that used to get flooded, and I know he went and secured us about $3.2 million to address that area. And again, like nobody knows it because he doesn't go out there and beats his chest and says, this is what I did, you know.
Here's a
And I think
question for
that's
you, Mayor.
important.
Let me ask you this question. Some people are saying, and of course, this is your opinion, Brown on Cleveland inside the little hut, but it's going to get a little hot right now for this race. Some people are saying because Sherrod Brown has been in DC for 31 years, that is just simply time for this guy to go. What are your thoughts on that, Brown on Cleveland?
Well, that's strictly politics, you know. I
Okay.
mean, that's where business gets done is right there in Washington D.C. So I think, and where do you want them to hold business at? You know, that's right where it gets done. And I will say, you know, he's just again, I can't say anything bad about him because I don't think there's anything that he does that construes that, you know, that he would deserve that. So, but that's where it's done is in Washington D.C.
All right, well, thank you very much. We know tomorrow is going to be exciting because, according to the media, this is a neck and neck race between Mr. Brown and Mr. Moreno. So we're going to leave that right there, Brown on Cleveland. The other race I want to talk about this. We know that the state of Ohio is a red state. It's no longer a swing state. I talked to Mayor Elkins about this the other day, and he broke it down for me. He says, you know what, Brown is getting redder and redder. So when we look at the Ohio Supreme Judicial race, we got three Dems that are facing three Repubs in a red state. What are your thoughts on this race? Are the Republicans going to take out the Dems tomorrow? Listen, I don't know. I'm an independent. Your opinion, what do you advise the people in Garfield Heights to do, and what are we looking at? Brown on Cleveland.
Well, you know, I go by who shows up, right? And
Okay.
when we've had meetings here in Garfield Heights,
Yeah.
you know, Judge Donnelly shows up.
Okay.
Judge Donnelly has been part of our, you know, neighbors on duty meetings and things like that.
Okay.
And I always look at those are the people that show up. I really think, from my perspective, um, and I'm going to be, you know, very candid. I'm a Democrat, so
Oh,
I'm going to go along with, you know, the Democratic ticket on this one because I've never met the Republican judges. I'm not usually into politics that heavily, but
okay.
I see from a national standpoint what has been done, especially with regards to women's reproductive rights and so on and so forth. So I think that in here in Ohio we need to sort of balance it out. We're a red state, so I think you need to have a balance of power right there, and that's why I would recommend voting on the Democratic side.
Okay. Very well. All right. We got to talk about, we got to talk about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now, listen, I spoke with my mom today, and my mom said, this is so historic because tomorrow we probably will make history. But either way it goes, this election here is the most exciting election ever, in my opinion, being almost 100 years old. Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. How do you think this election is going to turn out on
Well,
this?
like you, I was at the Board of Elections on Friday morning casting my votes, and I noticed one thing that I don't think I've ever noticed in our history, and that is going to the polls and being outnumbered 5-1, easily 5-1 by the amount of women that are coming out to vote. And I don't believe they're coming out to vote for Donald Trump. I I will also say this. When it comes to the polls, I'm a little shaky on these polls in this particular presidential race because what you have is you have a changing of the guard, so to speak, from generation to generation. And even though Kamala Harris is just on the cusp of baby boomer, she's actually more the Gen Xer like myself.
Okay.
And so I think that's what you see is a passing of the torch, if you will. And I think people are going to be pretty surprised at the outcome of that race. I'm pulling for Kamala Harris. I think that she is the only one that talks with verbs in her sentences. This is what I'm going to do. This She seems to have a plan and not a concept of a plan. And when you look at, some of the rhetoric out there, you just have to shake your head. And I think around the world, Donald Trump just makes us look bad.
Yeah. Well,
He
let me
really
ask
does.
you this. I got to throw some shiggity boo into this. Some people have stated that VP Kamala Harris, she does not answer questions, number one. And number two, she has turned people off because she laughs a lot. How do you respond to something like that, Brown on Cleveland? For people who are still on the fence as it comes to tomorrow, how would you get those people off the fence where they may be leaning a little right, but they are thinking about leaning left? How would somebody get the leaners to the right off the fence to the left, Brown on Cleveland? Just asking. Don't know.
I've spoke to even members of my own family that tell me they're on the fence.
Yeah.
And some of these guys were very heavy into Donald Trump. But this election, I think they've seen things where he has denigrated the veterans out there and so on and so forth. But they don't like Kamala Harris because they don't like her laugh. I certainly hope that you don't elect a president based upon their laugh or their lack of a laugh or whatever. I look at simply this. We know what 4 years of Donald Trump was like from 2016 to 2020. And we know what 4 years of President Biden has been like with Kamala Harris as his vice president. I would give you that I would not ever want to go back to 4 years of President Trump and that circus act or that period in American history, which I feel is really a sore spot on our history. And I would give you this. I think Kamala Harris deserves a chance to be able to say, this is what I can do.
Okay. She got a chance. She deserves a chance. Brown on Cleveland. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Election 2024 in the city of Garfield. Is there anything that people in the city of Garfield needs to be concerned about regarding like any issues that are on the ballot?
The biggest issue that we have on the ballot from a city standpoint is issue 19. And I'm making a plea to the voters in Garfield Heights that this is an opportunity for us to make I-480 a safe corridor. It seems like every single day there's an accident on I-480. My office has gotten phone calls from people that are just simply trying to get on I-480 and feel like if they're not going at least 75 miles an hour, they're going to get run over. And that corridor is a 60-mile-an-hour corridor. We've seen cars get flipped over down over the hill or by the 480 bridge. Our rescue squad has been hit, making calls on the bridge. I just think people need to slow down. And I don't feel safe putting any of our officers out there to try to write tickets because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And I don't want to lose a life.
So again, that's issue 19.
Issue 19. And the other thing about issue 19, we put in there that the revenue that's generated, because we know there'll probably be some revenue generated, is going to go to safety forces, safety in the city, infrastructure, senior programs, rec programs. Basically, we're putting it back into the city, and I really feel that that issue 19 is going to be a fair way to get people to slow down on I-480. Understand something. This is not a money grab. Some people have said this is a money grab. It's not a money grab. Our city has been doing fine. We've paid down from $12 million in debt 3.5 years ago to under $4 million now. And our revenues continue to grow every year. So, it's not about the money. It's about slowing people down.
I'll give you that. One thing about the Little Hut podcast, Mayor Burke, I got a lot of followers and a lot of listeners from the city of Garfield Heights. When I was doing the neighborhood series, Garfield Heights came out like 4,000 strong. So I know that your constituents, they definitely listen to the Little Hut podcast. And I know by the mere fact that you're the last mayor to appear before tomorrow, election 2024, I guarantee you these numbers are going to skyrocket. So tonight is a great night for everybody throughout the United States of America, but especially here in Cuyahoga County and in the city of Garfield Heights. So I appreciate you, Mayor,
I
for
appreciate
coming
you
on
for
today.
having me on. Thank you.
Yes, do me a favor. In 90 seconds, tell everybody why they should go out to vote if they have not voted in election 2024. 90 seconds. Here again, speaking with Mayor Matt Burke of the city of Garfield Heights.
Well, I have to say that our democracy is under attack in this election. This is one of the most important elections of our lifetime. It is a passing of the torch from one generation to the next. And I think that to see the nation move forward, we have to look at somebody that's going to be willing to work with all members of all parties into moving this nation forward. Um, it is our fundamental right. A lot of people like myself who are veterans would have fought, people have fought and died for the right for American citizens to go cast their vote in a fair and free election. And I would urge everyone to do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure and enjoy to see you out and about. Oh yeah, and thank you for stopping by our women's conference.
Hey, thank you for having me. Any way I can help, you know that.
Well, the women were very excited about the proclamation that you gave us. So I didn't. I guess I don't think I was able to tell you that, but I'm telling you now. Thank you so much, very much appreciate it. But at any rate, my time is up. Listen, it's been great covering election 2024. People can always follow my stories on Newsbreak and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, the Little Hut Podcast. The numbers are growing, 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 growing. I am so excited about it. So listen, as I say each and every podcast, I know you don't like me, and I'm okay with that because 9 times out of 10, I don't like I, but if you need me, call me. Don't talk about me because you know I will talk about that. Showed up here, showed up here. But listen, you have been inside a Little Hut podcast. Sometimes it gets absolutely hot. Once again, Mayor Burke from the city of Garfield Heights. Thank you for coming on. Say goodbye, Mayor. We got to go.
Take care. Thank you.